Hey guys, TinyBoneGaming here. So today, I am going to be talking about what I think about the new Kyoshin character in For Honor. Now, I know you guys don't just want to hear me ramble, so I've got a game going on in the background. Um, I'm just gonna go ahead and get straight into it, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. So, to start, I think the Kyoshin is too defensive in a manner of the word, because I know he's supposed to be highly defensive. Even on his character description it says counterattacker, highly defensive, yada yada yada. I know he's supposed to be super defensive, but I think in a manner of saying he was underpowered when he first came out. Now I think Yubi was getting a bad rap for releasing characters that were too OP, with the last two being Griffin and Warmonger. And while, yes, Warmonger wasn't all that OP when she came out, people still had to learn her, and there were some things that were definitely needed to be tweaked. And Griffin, oh, Griffin was bad. He needed to be fixed. And they've fixed him a little bit, for the most part. But, yeah, so I don't think they fixed him. Anyway, enough. But anyway, so he was fixed, and then she's digging at her kennel. Okay. So they fixed him, and then when this new character was getting released, they were scared that he was going to be OP again, maybe. I don't know. I don't know how Ubisoft company does things. Anyway, I've been watching a lot of the Warriors Dens and everything, and they were a little worried about it, but they were pretty sure he was going to turn out good, and he did for the most part. He's perfectly balanced in some scenarios. Like, I really can't find a lot of things that are wrong with him in some scenarios, but in other scenarios, I feel like he's underpowered, which is exactly where I was heading with the last statement, is that I feel like in some scenarios they did well, and in others they just didn't know what they were doing. So with the Kyoshin having almost 80 or 70% of his attack coming out of his all guard, it's a downside, because there are so many weaknesses to an all guard, especially when getting hit in your all guard drains your stamina. Like, I realize it doesn't drain your stamina to just sit in it, which is so nice, but for a character where all of his attacks come out of his all guard, if you just keep swinging at his all guard, he runs out of stamina. I feel like that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, especially when 70% of his attacks come out of his all guard. 90% of his powerful attacks come out of his all guard, and it's kind of concerning. When you're playing as him, you want to use the all guard, you want to use the new things, but you just get guard broken, an unblockable thrown your way, and the recovery on it is just too high for anything to happen coming out of your all guard without finishing a combo. The recovery on it is too large, and it's just I realize that he can get into it pretty good, but in some scenarios, especially when you're being ganked, you can't get into it quick enough. Or if you're just sitting in it, all of a sudden them all attacking your guard at once, your stamina is basically drained, and then you're out of your all guard. Or they throw unblockables and you can't get out of your all guard quick enough, or you just eat unblockables and then you're stunned and you just eat more. Or somebody throws a guard break and 5 people hit you at once. Him being ganked is basically instant death. His clear is also not great, but Yubi doesn't really care about that, and neither do I. I'm just stating a fact. His 2-hit combos are actually great. I really can't find a complaint with them, apart from maybe his lights are a little too slow. Just a little bit. barely enough to notice, but you definitely notice in some cases. His ganking ability is crazy strong. It's because you can just keep going into that all guard and throwing an unblockable, and then throwing those triple lights, and those triple lights have stun lock properties on them, so they will stun the enemy that is being hit, which, in my opinion, it's cool in a 1v1, but it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, if you think about it, that means if there's two Kyoshin and that they just keep alternating who's throwing the unblockable, if you don't parry that unblockable once, you will be in that combo infinitely, because one Kyoshin throws the unblockable, you don't parry it, then they start going into their light chain. That's when the other Kyoshin then throws another unblockable, that other unblockable, and since you're stunned, you can't parry it or do anything, and so then you're just kind of fucked. You're in that chain infinitely. Which, yeah, I mean, good luck. So, and then with that, on the other side, if he's in a 3v1 or a 4v1, he's dead. 2v1s are even difficult, but they're not impossible. Neither is none of it's impossible. You can certainly make it out of a 4v1 alive and win, but god damn if it's not hard. Because even, let's say you're being ganked, and even if you don't get guard broken or they don't throw unblockables to break your guard, you're still going to run low on stamina because 4 people just hit your all guard at once, so it knocks your stamina down quite a lot. And it doesn't bounce off. Like with certain zones and certain combos, their attacks don't bounce off. They're able to keep going, and with that, your stamina keeps draining. But with the all guard, if you then throw an attack out of it, there's not a whole lot you can do. Because if you throw an attack out of your all guard, whether your guard was hit or not, you don't have any hyper armor on that. So if you go for the zone and then you hit one person, but you want to hit a whole bunch of people, you don't really get a choice. And I'm not knocking on the range here. I'm knocking on the fact that he doesn't have any hyper armor. And I think the attack coming out of his all guard definitely should. Because that means, like when he's in his light chain, his 3-hit light chain after that, yeah, okay, no hyper armor. But when he's throwing that attack out of his guard, or out of his all guard, he definitely needs hyper armor, because he'll throw it out when he's in a 4v1, and it's like, okay, finally I can get some hits in, and then you're hit before that hit even hits anybody, and then you're fucked, because then you're right back in the same place that you were before, because he's got no hyper armor on it. So he can get into it really good, but when he's being ganked, that's an entire part of his moveset that just can't be used. And when people feint and everything, his heavies are way too slow to be feinting the way you need to be able to feint them to do that, which I actually like his heavies being a little bit on the slower side. Kind of makes it feel like Zanhu, fighting against a Zanhu. It's really nice. I actually really enjoy it, both to play as it, because it confuses the enemy in some cases. Confuses me. It's also really easy to parry, so yeah, there's that. But anyway, getting back into it, he needs some form of hyper armor when he's in his all guard, because otherwise he just doesn't have anything. And his crushing counters, they're great, everything's great. I just think his lights maybe need to be a little bit faster. and he needs to have some hyper armor on his all guard. That's my opinion, and that's the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you all on the flip side. Peace.